The world is quiet, not peaceful, but empty. Forests that once stretched for thousands of miles now stand blackened and brittle, their trunks reduced to charred skeletons. The air hangs thick, heavy with heat and ash. Even the wind feels wrong, dry, suffocating, carrying the scent of decay across a lifeless horizon. This is Earth, in the aftermath of the deadliest extinction in its history, the Permian-Triassic extinction event. Nearly everything is gone. Oceans have collapsed into toxic voids where oxygen barely exists. Entire ecosystems have vanished. More than 90% of life has been erased, as if the planet itself reset the rules of survival. And what remains is barely holding on. The sun beats down on a single massive landmass, the supercontinent Pangaea, where temperatures swing violently between extremes. Days scorch the ground until it cracks. Nights freeze what little life is left. Nothing thrives here. Everything struggles. For millions of years, Earth is not a world of evolution, but a world of endurance. And then, something moves. A small figure darts across the barren ground, fast, alert, alive. It pauses, listens. Every movement is calculated. Every second is survival. This is not a giant, not a ruler, not the creature you expect, but it is something new. A body built differently, legs positioned beneath it, movements more efficient, energy conserved where others would waste it. In a world where survival is almost impossible, this matters. Because this small, almost invisible creature carries a blueprint, a design that will outlast the chaos, a design that will evolve, adapt, and spread across the planet. This is the beginning of a lineage that will dominate Earth for over 160 million years. But right now, it is just trying to survive. So how does a fragile survivor in a dying world become the first dinosaur to rule the Earth? The answer begins here.
The world this creature has entered is not new. It is wounded. For millions of years after the Permian-Triassic extinction event, Earth remains trapped in recovery, a slow, uneven process where life struggles not to grow, but simply to return. The damage runs deep. Oceans, once full of complex ecosystems, have become unstable and oxygen poor. On land, vast forests that once regulated climate and supported biodiversity are gone, replaced by sparse, fragile vegetation. The planet's natural balance, built over hundreds of millions of years, has been shattered. And in its place, a harsher system emerges. The continents have merged into a single supermassive landform, Pangaea, stretching from pole to pole. Without large oceans to moderate temperature, the interior becomes extreme. Heat builds relentlessly during the day, pushing conditions beyond what most organisms can tolerate. At night, temperatures plummet just as dramatically. Rainfall becomes unpredictable. Vast deserts expand across the interior. Seasonal storms arrive violently and then disappear for long stretches, leaving drought behind. Even the air is different. Oxygen levels are lower than what modern animals depend on, making every breath less efficient. Wildfires ignite easily, sweeping across dry landscapes and resetting ecosystems before they have time to stabilize. This is not a world where dominance is possible. It is a world where survival itself is uncertain. And yet, life persists. Among the survivors are a group of reptiles known as archosaurs, a lineage that will eventually give rise to crocodiles, birds, and dinosaurs. But at this moment in time, they are simply one group among many, experimenting with different ways to survive in a broken environment. Some archosaurs move low to the ground, their limbs sprout outward like modern lizards. This posture, while effective in stable environments, demands high energy for movement and limits endurance. In a world where resources are scarce and distances are vast, this becomes a disadvantage. Others begin to change. Gradually, across generations, a new body structure emerges, legs shifting beneath the body instead of to the sides. It's a subtle transformation, almost invisible at first. But its impact is profound. This upright posture allows for more efficient movement, less energy is wasted, more ground can be covered, endurance increases. In a world of extremes, efficiency becomes power. At the same time, ecosystems were not static. They are unstable, constantly reshaped by climate shifts and environmental stress. Food sources appear and disappear unpredictably. Habitats collapse and reform. Survival is no longer about specialization, it's about flexibility. And this is where the first dinosaurs begin to separate themselves. They do not dominate, not yet. They exist quietly within these ecosystems, small, agile animals navigating a landscape filled with larger, more established competitors. Among them are early forms like Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus, creatures that would later be recognized as some of the earliest true dinosaurs. But here, in their own time, they are just another experiment, another attempt by evolution to solve a problem. How do you survive on a planet that keeps trying to reset itself? Their answer lies not in size or strength, but in design. Lightweight bodies reduce energy demands, upright limbs increase mobility, flexible diets allow them to adapt when food becomes scarce, and possibly faster growth rates give them an edge in recovering populations after environmental collapse. They are not the rulers of this world. In fact, they are far from it. The dominant predators of the time are other archosaurs, particularly the pseudosuchians, a diverse group of crocodile-like reptiles that occupy top ecological roles. Many are larger, stronger, and seemingly better equipped for control of the food chain. By comparison, early dinosaurs appear almost insignificant. And yet, they persist. They survive not because they are superior, but because they are adaptable. This distinction is subtle but critical. Because evolution does not follow a path towards immediate dominance, it favors traits that endure under pressure, and pressure during the Triassic period is constant. Over millions of years, these small, efficient animals continue to evolve in the background, refining their advantages, spreading into new niches, waiting, not by intention, but by circumstance. They are preparing for something they cannot predict. Another shift, another collapse, another moment when survival will matter more than power, because in a world defined by extinction, the next opportunity always belongs to those who are still alive.
To understand how dinosaurs would one day dominate the Earth, we have to examine something far less dramatic than dominance. We have to examine design. Because the first dinosaurs did not rise through strength, they rose through efficiency. Around 230 million years ago, in the late Triassic period, the fossil record begins to reveal clearer evidence of these early pioneers. Among them are species like Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus, small-bodied, lightly built, and deceptively simple in appearance. At first glance, they don't look like rulers, they look ordinary. But evolution rarely announces its breakthroughs with size, it hides them in structure. The first major shift is posture. Unlike many earlier reptiles, whose limbs extend outward from their bodies in a sprawling stance, early dinosaurs stand upright. Their legs are positioned directly beneath them, supporting their weight in a vertical alignment. This changes everything. A sprawling posture forces animals to expend energy, pushing their bodies off the ground with each step. Movement is inefficient, stamina is limited, and speed comes at a high cost. But an upright stance transforms locomotion into something far more sustainable. Energy flows forward instead of outward, stride length increases, endurance improves. In a harsh, unpredictable environment, this is not just an advantage, it is survival. But posture alone is not enough. The skeletal structure of early dinosaurs reveals another critical feature: balance. Their bodies are designed with a counterbalancing tail, allowing precise control during movement. This is especially important for bipedal locomotion, walking on two legs, which frees the front limbs for other functions, such as grasping or stabilizing. This division of labor within the body increases versatility, and versatility in unstable ecosystems is everything. Then there is speed, not explosive bursts of power, but sustained, controlled movement. Early dinosaurs were likely capable of covering greater distances without exhausting themselves, allowing them to search for food across wider territories. In a landscape where resources appear unpredictably, this ability can mean the difference between life and death. But perhaps the most intriguing aspect lies deeper, within their biology.
bone analysis suggests that many early dinosaurs grew relatively quickly compared to their reptilian counterparts. Their bone tissues show signs of rapid deposition, indicating accelerated growth rates. Some researchers, including studies published in journals like Science and Nature, propose that this may reflect a more active metabolism. Not fully warm-blooded in the modern sense, but not entirely cold-blooded either. Something in between. A metabolic flexibility that allows for higher activity levels without the constant energy demands of true endothermy. If true, this would represent a major evolutionary advantage, because it allows these animals to remain active in a wider range of temperatures, hunting, foraging, and moving, when others are forced to rest. And in a world defined by extremes, activity equals opportunity. But evolution does not occur in isolation. While dinosaurs were refining their design, they were not alone in the race for survival. The Triassic world was dominated by a different group of archosaurs, pseudosuchians. These crocodile-line reptiles were diverse and often formidable. Some were massive predators, others were armored herbivores. Many occupied ecological roles that would later be filled by dinosaurs. In this world, dinosaurs are not dominant. They are outnumbered, outcompeted, overshadowed. For millions of years, they exist on the margins of ecosystems, small players in a landscape ruled by larger, more established species. So the question becomes unavoidable. If dinosaurs were not the strongest, how did they win? The answer lies not in competition, but in catastrophe. Around 200 million years ago, the Earth experiences another global crisis, the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. Once again, climate instability intensifies. Massive volcanic eruptions release enormous quantities of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, triggering rapid global warming. Ocean chemistry shifts, ecosystems collapse, and once again, life is reshuffled. Many of the dominant pseudosuchian groups disappear. Entire lineages vanish. Ecological niches, once filled by powerful competitors, are suddenly empty. And the dinosaurs? They remain. Not untouched, not unaffected, but alive. Their earlier advantages, efficient movement, adaptable diets, flexible physiology, allow them to endure where others cannot. And in the aftermath of extinction, endurance becomes opportunity. With fewer competitors, dinosaurs begin to expand. They diversify, they grow larger, they spread into new environments, occupying roles that were once inaccessible. Predators, herbivores, specialists, generalists. Within a relatively short geological timeframe, they transition from minor players to dominant forces. But this transformation is not sudden. It is the result of millions of years of quiet preparation, of evolutionary fine-tuning under pressure, which leads to a deeper realization. Dinosaurs did not rise because they were destined to rule. They rose because they were ready when the world changed. And in a planet shaped by extinction, being ready is everything.
For most of human history, dinosaurs did not exist, not as science, not as reality, only as mystery. Long before paleontology, people occasionally uncovered enormous bones embedded in rock, fragments of a past no one could explain. Without context, these remains were interpreted through imagination. In different cultures, they became the evidence of giants, mythical beasts, or dragons, stories shaped not by data, but by belief. It would take centuries before those scattered fragments began to form a coherent picture. The turning point came in the early 19th century, when a new scientific discipline emerged, paleontology. For the first time, fossils were studied not as curiosities, but as records of ancient life. In 1842, the term Dinosauria was introduced by Richard Owen, grouping together several fossil species that shared distinct anatomical features. The name itself, meaning terrible lizards, captured the imagination of the public. But it also introduced a misconception, because dinosaurs were not lizards, and they were not fully understood. Early reconstructions depicted them as slow, heavy, and cold-blooded, creatures bound to the ground, dragging their tails, lumbering through prehistoric swamps. This image dominated both science and popular culture for over a century. It was a reasonable interpretation based on limited evidence, but it was wrong. As fossil discoveries expanded across continents, a different picture began to emerge. Trackways, fossilized footprints, revealed patterns of movement that contradicted the idea of sluggish animals. Some showed evidence of coordinated group behavior. Others indicated speed and agility. Dinosaurs were not dragging themselves across the earth. They were moving with purpose. Then came the study of bone microstructure. Under the microscope, fossilized bones began to tell a new story. Growth rings, vascular patterns, and tissue organization suggested something unexpected. Many dinosaurs grew quickly, more like birds and mammals than modern reptiles. This raised a profound question. Were dinosaurs more active, more dynamic than previously believed?
Research supported by institutions like the National Science Foundation and published in journals such as Nature and Science pointed toward a shift in thinking. Dinosaurs were no longer seen as evolutionary dead ends, but as highly successful, adaptable organisms. But the most transformative discovery was still to come. In the late 20th century, exceptionally preserved fossils from regions like China began to reveal structures that had never been associated with dinosaurs before. Feathers. Not impressions, not vague textures, actual preserved feather-like structures attached to dinosaur bodies. Species such as Sinosauropteryx provided the first clear evidence that feathers were not exclusive to birds. Over time, more discoveries followed, each reinforcing the same conclusion. Feathers were widespread among certain groups of dinosaurs, and they were not originally evolved for flight. They likely served other functions, insulation, display, temperature regulation, long before any lineage took to the air. This changed everything because it bridged a gap that had existed for over a century. Birds were not separate from dinosaurs, they were part of them. The evolutionary connection between theropod dinosaurs and modern birds became one of the most well-supported relationships in paleontology. Anatomical similarities, hollow bones, three-toed limbs, wishbones, combined with fossil evidence to form a consistent, compelling narrative. Dinosaurs had not completely disappeared 66 million years ago. They had transformed. Today, over 10,000 species of birds inhabit our planet. They fly over oceans, nest in cities, migrate across continents. They are not just descendants of dinosaurs. They are dinosaurs. And this realization reframes the entire story. The first dinosaur is no longer just a distant, extinct creature from a lost world. It becomes part of a continuous lineage, one that stretches from the Triassic period to the present day. A lineage that survived multiple extinction events, adapted to radically different environments, and continues to evolve. But the human connection goes deeper than discovery. It shapes how we understand our place in the natural world. Because the story of dinosaurs is not just about the past, it is about process. About how life responds to pressure. About how systems collapse and rebuild. The same scientific methods used to study dinosaur evolution, comparative anatomy, climate modeling, fossil analysis, are now applied to modern challenges. Researchers study past extinction events to better understand current biodiversity loss. They analyze ancient climate shifts to predict future environmental change. In this way, dinosaurs are not just subjects of curiosity. They are data, evidence, warnings. They remind us that Earth is not static, that ecosystems can collapse, that dominance can disappear, and that survival is never guaranteed. At the same time, they offer something else: perspective. Because when we look at the vast timeline of life on Earth, human history becomes a brief moment, an instant compared to the millions of years dinosaurs once dominated. And yet, in that brief moment, we have gained the ability to reconstruct worlds that vanished long before we existed. To study creatures we will never see alive. To understand processes that shaped the planet. This is the power of science. Not just to discover what existed, but to reveal how it all connects. From a small, agile reptile moving through a hostile Triassic landscape, to the birds flying above us today, to the scientists piecing together fragments of bone and stone. It is all part of the same story. A story of survival. A story of adaptation. A story that is still unfolding.
By now, the first dinosaurs have emerged from the margins of a dying world. But what does it mean to say they ruled the Earth? It's a phrase that conjures images of giant predators, long-necked herbivores, unstoppable dominance. And yet, the reality is subtler, more profound. The first dinosaurs, species like Eoraptor and Herrerasaurus, were not giants. They were small, fast, agile. Their survival did not depend on brute strength. It depended on adaptability. This is the revelation. Dominance does not always begin with power. It begins with endurance. Consider their anatomy once more. Their upright posture and efficient limbs were not built for intimidation. They were built for mobility, allowing them to move across unstable landscapes, escape predators, and exploit resources that others could not reach. Their tails acted as dynamic counterbalances, stabilizing the body while hunting or fleeing, increasing precision and balance. Their metabolism may have been intermediate, higher than cold-blooded reptiles, but not fully warm-blooded, granting them activity flexibility in a world of extremes. Each trait alone might seem minor, but together they created a suite of survival tools that allowed these creatures to endure periods of catastrophic stress, including the Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. While larger, stronger competitors perished, these small, efficient reptiles persisted, and with their survival came opportunity.
Evolution rewards those who can endure change, not the strongest, not the fastest in combat, but those who can persist when the rules of survival shift. And persist they did. Over millions of years, this adaptability allowed dinosaurs to diversify. Some became apex predators, others herbivores capable of exploiting every plant niche. Their lineages spread across continents, colonizing environments from deserts to lush forests. By the Jurassic period, dinosaurs were no longer marginal players. They had become the dominant vertebrates on land, a triumph not of conquest, but of cumulative survival and adaptation. Yet even this dominance was not permanent. History demonstrates that ecological and planetary shifts can overturn the most successful species in an instant. 66 million years ago, the Cretaceous-Paleogene extinction event struck. Many of the iconic giants vanished, yet some lineages survived. Birds, the living descendants of small theropod dinosaurs, carried their legacy forward. The lesson here is profound. Dominance is not a static measure of power. It is the ability to navigate change, to survive environmental upheaval, to adapt repeatedly across eons. The first dinosaurs embody this principle perfectly. They were not rulers in the traditional sense. They were survivors. Their rule was measured not in immediate strength or territorial conquest, but in longevity. Millions of years of ecological persistence, a lineage that outlasted competitors, catastrophes, and the rise and fall of entire ecosystems. This revelation reframes our understanding of evolution itself. Life does not progress linearly from inferior to superior. Success is rarely instantaneous. Instead, it is a cumulative of traits that allow survival under pressure. The small, seemingly unremarkable first dinosaurs were perfect examples: agile, adaptable, flexible, efficient, traits that favored persistence over spectacle. And in a broader context, their story mirrors a universal principle of life. Extinction is inevitable, dominance is temporary, adaptation is essential. When we look at our world today, changing climates, shifting ecosystems, human-driven pressures, the narrative of the first dinosaurs becomes more than history, it becomes guidance. The traits that ensured survival 230 million years ago are the same strategies life employs now to persist in uncertainty: flexibility, efficiency, resilience. The first dinosaurs were architects of endurance. They did not impose power, they endured. Their rule of Earth was quiet, persistent, and enduring, extending far beyond what any predator could achieve through strength alone. And perhaps that is the most humbling revelation of all. Ruling the Earth is not about being the largest, the fiercest, or the most dominant. It is about surviving when everything else falls away. And in this truth lies the legacy of the first dinosaurs. They teach us that survival, adaptability, and endurance are the ultimate measures of success, lessons written in stone, carried forward through life, and still visible in the world around us today. From a small reptile stepping cautiously into a broken world, to the birds that soar above us, this lineage shows that true power is not fleeting, it is enduring. And in that enduring presence, the first dinosaurs quietly rule still, through time itself.
The first dinosaur never knew what it would become. It never saw the giants that would roam the Jurassic plains. It never imagined the diversity that would fill the Cretaceous forests. It never knew that its tiny, agile form would leave a legacy lasting millions of years. All it knew was the moment: survival, adaptation, endurance. And perhaps that is the quiet truth behind one of Earth's greatest evolutionary stories. Greatness is not about immediate power. It is about persistence through uncertainty. For 230 million years, life has been shaped by change. Extinctions come without warning. Environments shift. Competitors rise and fall. And yet, those who can endure, adapt, and navigate these changes leave a mark far beyond their own lifespan. The first dinosaurs are the ultimate example. Small, almost invisible at the time, they survived the Triassic chaos, outlasted their rivals, and set the stage for an evolutionary empire that would dominate the planet for more than 160 million years. And even when most of their kind vanished at the end of the Cretaceous, a select lineage survived. Today, every bird that takes flight carries their legacy. Look closer, and their story becomes a mirror for our own existence. We live on a planet still in flux. Climate change, environmental pressures, and human impact are forces we cannot ignore. The same principles that shaped survival for dinosaurs, adaptability, resilience, strategic efficiency, apply to life today. The first dinosaurs teach us that dominance is not permanent. Strength alone does not guarantee survival. The rules of life favor those who can adjust, who can endure, who can innovate under pressure. And yet,
There is beauty in this impermanence. The rise and fall of species reminds us that life is never static. Every extinction, every transformation is a step in a process far larger than any single creature. It is the pulse of evolution itself, relentless, unpredictable, but profoundly creative. As we reflect on the story of the first dinosaurs, we realize that survival is not about being seen, celebrated, or feared. It is about quietly persisting through change, and in doing so, shaping the future in ways we cannot yet imagine. The small, agile reptile of the Triassic world never ruled with terror or might. It ruled through endurance, and in that endurance lies the ultimate lesson. The measure of life is not power, but persistence. Millions of years later, the story continues. Every ecosystem, every species, every living organism carries traces of survival strategies honed through time. Every bird, every living descendant reminds us that the first dinosaur's journey is not ancient history. It is a living narrative, still unfolding. So when we look at the world today, at our challenges, our environment, the fragile balance of life, perhaps the greatest question is not which species will dominate, but which will endure. Because in the end, endurance, adaptability, and resilience are the true rulers of Earth, and the first dinosaurs, they are still ruling, quietly, through time itself. A lineage that began in a dying world continues to teach us the most important lesson of all, that survival, above all, is the measure of life.